Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening session of Divine Femininity United. I'm your host and your girl, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee, and we are journeying through this phenomenal book, Power versus Force, The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior, written by the phenomenal author, Dr. David R. Hawkins. We have learned quite a bit regarding the levels of consciousness, regarding where we reside on that level of consciousness, on that ladder, that scale, so to speak. We learned the history of it. We learned that our bodies are natural systems, the systems that were given to us at birth, this very genius like system that we have been blessed to have has the determinants on how to gauge between falsehood and truth. We have this built-in alert system, intuitive system, discernment system that we so graciously have at our fingertips, and allows us to be able to really gauge what's for us and what's not, what's what's with us and what is against us. So those, without having to do polygraphs and all of those things. So he's showing us, the author David R. Hawkins is showing us how to determine that. We've gone through several different processes. This book is broken down in 3 different parts. We're in the second part, which are tools. Okay, part 2 is tools, and we've gone over power in politics. We've gone over power in let's see, power in our human behavior and things like that. And today we are beginning power in sports. Power in sports. Okay, man, I can only imagine what he's going to divulge to us right now. But without further ado, you already know I don't like to keep you, I don't like to linger long on Tuesday evenings because it is your Tuesday. We are airing live on several platforms. Clubhouse, I would be remiss not to acknowledge the platform. So Clubhouse, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter. So we're all over the place, and I'm so grateful for your energy, for your presence, for your support, your time. And without further ado, here we go. Chapter 12, Power and Sports. The theoretical understanding that we've come to in our study of consciousness provides a context that may be applied to any field of human activity. Examining sports is a good illustration because sport is so widely observed and extensively documented. Great sports heroes have been celebrated throughout history, at least as much as notable figures in science, the arts, or any other area of cultural achievement. Sports figures symbolize the possibilities of excellence for all of us. And at the level of the champion, they represent mastery. What is it in athletics that brings a crowd to its feet and commands such intense, enthusiastic loyalty? At first, we might think that it's pride, a fascination with competition and triumph. But while these motives may produce pleasure and excitement, they don't account for the far greater emotions of respect and awe elicited by a display of athletic excellence. What animates the crowd is an intuitive recognition of the heroic striving required to overcome human limitation and achieve new levels of prowess. High states of consciousness are also frequently experienced by athletes. It's widely documented that long distance runners frequently attain sublime states of peace and joy, popularly referred to as the runner's high. This very elevation of consciousness, in fact, often inspires the prolonged transcendence of pain and exhaustion necessary to achieve higher levels of performance. This phenomenon is commonly described in terms of pushing oneself to the point where one suddenly breaks through a performance barrier and activity becomes effortless. The body then seems to move with grace and ease and of its own accord, as though animated by some invisible force. The accompanying state of joy is quite distinct from the thrill of success. It's a joy of peace and oneness with all that lives. It's notable that this transcendence of the personal self and surrender to the very essence of or spirit of life often occurs at a point just beyond the apparent limit of the athlete's ability. The seeming barrier is predicated by the paradigm of one's own past accomplishments or of what has been recognized as theoretically possible. Take, for instance, the historic 4-minute mile. Until Roger Bannister tore down that barrier, it was universally accepted that it wasn't humanly possible to run any faster. Bannister's greatness wasn't just in the breaking of the record, but in breaking through the paradigm to a new model of human possibility. This breakthrough to new levels of potential has correspondence in every field of human endeavor. In many diverse enterprises, those who have achieved greatness have given parallel accounts of the circumstances surrounding their accomplishments. That's good. That's good because what is it saying? We don't know how strong we are until being strong is all we have. You have no idea what you're capable of until you push yourself to those limits and then you surprise yourself. We do it all the time. We've made calibrations of various kinds of records of athletic achievement, including movies. Of all the movies about sports study, the French film The Big Blue produced the highest calibration. This is the story of Jacques Mayol, the Frenchman who held the world record for deep sea diving for many years until very recently. The movie calibrates at an extraordinary energy level of 700, which is the calibration of universal truth. Wow. And has the capacity to put viewers into a high state of consciousness. The manager of one movie theater that showed it described audiences wandering out, lost in silence, or crying with a joy they couldn't describe. Wow. Through the use of slow motion photography, the movie achieves an accurate depiction of the world's greatest deep sea diver in elevated states of consciousness. A subjective sensation of slow motion, beauty, and grace is frequently noted in higher states. Time seems to stop, and there's an inner silence despite the noise of the world. We see throughout the film that Jacques Mayol maintains this state by the intensity of his concentration, which keeps him in an almost constant meditative condition. In this mode, he transcends ordinary human limitations, for he becomes enabled to achieve great feats through altered physiology. The deeper he dives, the slower his heartbeat becomes, and his blood distribution concentrates almost entirely in his brain. This also happens in porpoises. His best friend himself, a highly evolved athlete, dies in an attempt to match Mayol's feat because he hadn't reached the level of consciousness required to transcend the normal limits of the body. Wow, 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 wow. The subjective experience of effortless bliss also occurs in other types of exceptional physical performance, such as that of the world famous Sufi dancers known as whirling dervishes, who, through discipline and exhausting practices, become able to move effortlessly through space over long periods of time with dazzling precision. The most highly developed martial arts clearly demonstrate how motive and principle are of ultimate importance in extraordinary athletic achievement. The most frequently heard of admonition, to trainees is stop trying to use force. Schools devoted to these arts produce masters whose overriding concern is victory of the higher self over the lower through control, training, and commitment to goals aligned with true power. Alignment with these high power attractor patterns isn't limited to the exercise of the discipline itself, but becomes an entire lifestyle. That's so true. I have a teacher in the UK that I meet with weekly, and he is a master in martial arts. And he speaks about the discipline that it requires in order to even achieve some of the feats. Martial arts, jujitsu, karate, a lot of the Asian based, if not all the Asian based sports and arts requires a form of inner transcendence where you have to go within in order for you to achieve the feat without. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to almost surrender the body to a higher conscious level and see yourself accomplishing this thing that you're pursuing. You have to, and there's a certain discipline. Of course, it comes with practice and things like that. But the main core is centering, not by force, but pulling on the power, really utilizing the power that you draw from within in order to accomplish the task or the sport or the feat. It's artful. It's not even, yeah, it's just a form of art. It's not it's I wouldn't even reduce it to sport, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. It continues and says, thus, when the power of the principle of transfer is transferred to the practitioner, the results begin to be manifested everywhere in his life. The hallmark of true greatness in athletic achievement is always humility, such as that exhibited by Pablo Morales after winning his gold medals in the 1992 Summer Olympics. Such athletes express gratitude, inner awe, and an awareness that their performance wasn't merely the result of an individual effort. That maximum personal effort brought them to the breakthrough point from which they were then transported by a power greater than that of the individual self. Absolutely. This typically is expressed as a discovery of some aspect of the self hitherto unknown or unexperienced in its pure form. That's good. Next section, pride and sports. Through kinesiology, we can demonstrate that if one is motivated by any of the energy fields below courage, which is at 200, one goes weak. The notorious Achilles heel that brings down not just athletes, but the potentially great in all areas of human achievement is pride. Wow. Wow. So pride is what breaks down the Achilles heel. My goodness. Pride calibrated at 175 not only makes the performer go weak, but it can't provide the motivational power of love, honor, or dedication to a higher principle, or even to excellence itself. If we ask a powerful athlete to hold in mind the hope of defeating his opponent, or becoming a star, or making a lot of money, we'll see that he goes weak, and we can put down his trained muscular arm with minimal effort. Wow. The same athlete holding in mind the honor of his country or his sport, the dedication of his performance to someone he loves, or even the sheer joy of maximum effort for the sake of excellence, goes powerfully strong, and we cannot push down his arm even with the greatest effort. Wow. Thus, the competitor who is motivated by pride or greed or interested primarily in defeating an opponent will go weak at the moment of the starting gun and be unable to achieve the maximum continued effort necessary for great achievement. Oh, you know what? I just thought about what is her name? Shakira Richardson, I believe her name is. My goodness. Every race before she goes into her race, she dedicates it to her grandmother who raised her. She dedicates it to, it's like, I'm gonna do this for, to make my parents proud. I'm gonna do this to honor my. She does it, and she achieves it every single time. Every single time. That is demonstration right here, big time. At times, we see an athlete start poorly for such reasons, but as the contest progresses and selfless goals are forgotten, he improves his performance. We also see the opposite happen when an athlete starts well because he's competing for the honor of his country, his team, or of the sport itself. But then, as he nears the goal, the anticipation of personal glory or triumph over a rival makes him lose strength and form, and he fumbles. Absolutely. We have seen that countless times in sports. One unfortunate sequence of consciousness occurs when an athlete sets a new record during qualifying trials, arousing new personal ambitions, but during the final competition goes to pieces to the puzzlement of the audience. If top performers were imbued with the belief that their excellence isn't a personal accomplishment, but a gift belonging to all mankind as a demonstration of man's potential, they'll go strong and remain so through any event. Yeah, I can see that. Because it's not about them, it's about the whole of all of us. The scale of consciousness may be seen in one aspect as a scale of ego, with the level of 200 being the point where selfishness begins to turn to selflessness. At the rarefied plane of Olympic competition, the disastrous consequences, both in private and public life, of motivations emanating from levels below 200 are all too clearly illustrated by the well-known scandal involving a figure skater in the early 1990s. I remember this. This athlete's excessive zeal to capture an Olympic medal and defeat her rival by any means available led her to abandon the power of ethical principle and descend to the grossest level of force. It's so true. What is it? Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. There could hardly be a more telling example of how submissive to a negative attractor field can produce the rapid collapse of an otherwise promising athletic career. It's so true, because she couldn't even rebuild after that. Oh my goodness. I was disgusted by the act, because I remember that distinctly, because I was a huge figure skating fan, big time. Okay, I can't so much as skate on a blade at all, but I just found figure skating to be so beautiful, almost poetic, to be honest, because the way that they were forming their bodies and shaping and gliding with such elegance and grace, I loved it. It was so pretty and just, oh, it was everything. And so Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan were two of my, I looked to them as some of the greatest. And when that happened, when Tanya Harding stooped to that low, oh my God, she was green with envy of Nancy Kerrigan. She was so competitive. She was so, envious of her. And she stooped to that low, to where she swung and busted her knee, and both of them were out of the sport. But Tanya Harding, having now a dark cloud over her head, as because the world was looking at her like, are you serious? You're willing to stoop this low, ruin her career. We never heard from her ever since. Because how do you come from that? Man, that's so true. I'm glad he brought that up, because that's a big, 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 big example, a great example actually, where higher motivations toward excellence give access to the realm of grace and power. Self-centered motivations of personal gain draw one almost magnetically into the realm of force. The reaping of recognition, even in a symbolic form of a medal, not to mention the financial reward that may accompany it, has little to do with true athletic greatness, which proceeds from an attainment of stature of the spirit. This is what we laud in a champion. Even if the competitor does not surrender to the lust for wealth and fame, the drive to attain dominance in one's sport, rather than to simply manifest all the excellence that one is capable of, has its own corrupting, egocentric effect. The negative forces associated with the level of pride. It's so true. It's so true. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with some manifestations of pride. We all may well be proud when we take the captain's cup or our Olympians win medal, but that's a big difference. That's a different kind of pride. It's an honoring of human achievement that transcends personal pride. We honor the endeavor, not the personal accomplishment, which is only the occasional and an expression of something greater, universal, and innate in the human heart. The Olympics, one of the greatest dramas of human striving and one that captures everyone's imagination, provides a context that should counteract personal pride. The entire setting inspires the competitor to move from personal pride to an esteem that is an expression of unconditional love, one that also honors one's opponents for their dedication to the same lofty principles. It's true. You all are there together. You know what I mean? You made it to this point together. So in honor of one another, that's a big, big, big point right there. Congratulating all. Let's just put all our best face forward, and just all be grateful that we're here. We've made it here. Our bodies, our discipline, our focus got us here. And let's, for the sake of our sport, our team, show good sportsmanship. Give our best, and may the best man win. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. Seriously. And so he says, the media tends to evoke the downside of sports and undermines the athlete, because celebrity status, either consciously or unconsciously, elicits this egotism. Great athletes need to gird themselves against the source of contamination. Humility and gratitude seem to be the only effective shields against the onslaughts of media exploitation. Athletes in the traditional martial arts employ specific exercises to overcome any tendency towards egotism. The dedication of one's skill, performance, or career to a higher principle provides the only absolute protection. True athletic power is characterized by grace, sensitivity, inner quiet, and paradoxically, gentleness in the non competitive lives of even fierce competitors. We celebrate the champion because we recognize that he has overcome personal ambition through sacrifice and dedication to higher principles. The great become legendary when they teach by example. Absolutely. It isn't what they do or what they have, nor what they do, but what they have become that inspires all of mankind. And that's what we honor in them. We should seek to protect their humility from the forces of exploitation that accompany acclaim in the everyday world. Exactly. Everybody's looking for status, fame, and celebrity and all of that. It's not about that. We need to educate the public to the abilities of these athletes and their great performances are gifts to mankind to be respected and defended from the abuse of media and corporate commerce. The Olympic spirit resides within the heart of every man and woman. Great athletes can, by example, awaken awareness of that principle in all people. These heroes and their spokesmen have a potentially powerful influence on all of mankind, literally, the power to lift the world on their shoulders. The nurturing of excellence and recognition of its value is the responsibility of all men, because the quest for excellence in any area of human endeavor inspires us all toward the actualization of every form of man's yet unrealized greatness. It's so true. It's so true. How many of us, when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, how many of us who those who of us who play sports? I played sports, I played basketball, and then I coached basketball for an AAU team for girls. And we all looked at him and was like, I can do that. I mean, it's a lot of girls who were really, really good at playing basketball said that they were going to be the first ones in the NBA, first female in the NBA. Okay. Like Mike. There was a movie that even said like Mike, when we see those athletes, we see what we're also capable of. But sometimes when that athlete becomes full of themselves and they stop, being that beacon of possibility and then start becoming self-centered, oh, this is my world, this is about me, 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 that's when we see a fall in them. And it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate because, again, in order to reach those heights, you have had to have reached a level of consciousness that requires centering, humility, discipline, focus, honor, love, all of that, respect, all of that. It takes that to achieve the feats, right? So, but a lot of people we've seen, unfortunately, start in humility and end in disaster, right? Because they forgot the focus. They've lost the focus, getting caught up in the fame and the recognition and the money and the competition and the, rivalries and all of that. It's not about that. You all are on the same level. You all are playing the same sport at the same level, okay? So celebrate all, respect all. That's kind of why I don't watch sports right now, because it's not the same as it once was. It's really not. It's really not. I don't. Ugh, you know, I don't disrespect it. I just don't watch it anymore because the power and the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, it hasn't been there for a while. It's about how many endorsements I can get. It's a lot. Like he said, exploitation. Um, yeah, and I'm just not interested in that. Even with football, I love football. My dad and I will watch football and be just as just as in the sport, as the players are. But it gets to a place where it becomes about commercialism. How many ads can we sell? Super Bowl is a prime example of that. That to run a commercial during Super Bowl, you have had to have spent anywhere from between $5 to $10 million just for one 30-second, 45-second ad. It stopped being about the sport and the love of it to being about how much money can we make. And I don't subscribe to that anymore. But no diss against anybody who does. When the heart of it comes out for me, I'm no longer connected to it. But yeah, so that was good. He spoke about the power in sports and how there's a difference, because today we see a lot of forcing things in sports versus just allowing the power of it, which only comes from within, to display in the sport, in the individual, in the athlete, going within and bringing up the abilities from within, right, to demonstrate in the sport, the heart of the sport. So that's it for today's reading, you all. That was chapter 12. Next chapter is chapter 13, which we will begin on Sunday. Chapter 13 says social power and the human spirit. Chapter 13, social power and the human spirit. That's it for now. I'm going to release you because it is Tuesday night. I don't like to keep you long. All right. So if you all need the book, if you want the book, feel free to reach out to me. Okay. You can email me anywhere where you can contact me. Email me, back channel me, send me an inbox, whatever you need to do with your email address, and I'll send the book over to you so that you can read it on your own time or with us or both. It doesn't matter. Either way, as long as you have the book. Okay. You can also email me for any type of services, questions, or whatever that you may have for me. I can do my best to answer them for you. Visit my website. For those on Clubhouse, it's right above your head. For everybody else, it's on the screen or in the captions. You can feel free to go to my website, utilize some of my services if you would like to. Go to my merchandise section. A lot of my merchandise is also at Walmart, so you can get them either way. It doesn't matter, or even Amazon. You can get them either way. Either way, it's up to you. Okay. Also follow me on social media. You all Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's all Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. Okay. Alrighty, you all. I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. We'll see you back here on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at Divine Femininity United. Peace.